Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
When I was 4, I would beg my parents to make me hard-boiled eggs. Not because I wanted to eat them, although they are yummy, but because I was always in the mood to make new friends. Every time they would boil hard-boiled eggs, my parents would be sure to leave one on the side just for me. When I would get one, I would draw a little smiley face on it and some colorful clothes with my Crayola markers that I had. I would take a cup and stuff paper towels at the bottom of it and call it, this paper cup, my Eggy's home. I would take it with me to play games in the living room. I would walk around the house with it. And at the end of the day, I would put it in the fridge, tuck it in, and kiss it goodnight. It's funny, you can laugh. Of course, my parents were smart enough to let me keep the egg just for a few days before it started to go bad. When I would wake up, realize the Eggy was gone, I was devastated. My 4-year-old self, it felt like there was a hole in my heart. My Eggy, something I loved so deeply, was gone. Now, as an adult, I look back at those memories with my Eggies, and of course, I laugh because how ridiculous is the idea of a kid hanging out with an egg? Trust me, I had friends. I swear. But the memory invites me to think deeply about the concept of love, as this experience between myself and this egg was one of the first times I felt love towards another thing that wasn't my family. What is love? Well, I can look to Love by Nat King Cole for the answer. He says, oh, come on, sing it with me, you know. L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore. Yes, okay, you got it. A+. This week's Torah portion, Vayet Hanan, contains one of the Jewish people's central pieces of prayer. We see the instructions from God to the Israelites to listen, that God is one, and we must love God with kol levavcha, with our whole heart, kol nafshecha, with our whole soul, and kol meodecha, with our allotness, or our muchness, also commonly referred to as our might. This portion attempts to explain what love is, as it's divided into 3 categories. We are to love God with 1, our heart, 2, our soul, and 3, our muchness. Now, looking at the passage, are these 3 of the same types of love just presented in a new way? Are these 3 distinct types of love? Or is God presenting a new kind of love pyramid that flows through it, begins in the heart, manifests in the soul, and presents in the muchness? Torah scholar Melissa Carpenter states, if love is a feeling, then loving God might mean experiencing a state of oneness with God, or a passionate obsession with God, or a deep longing for God. If love is about what we do rather than what we feel, then loving God might mean acting with loyal obedience or with unselfishness. She continues and explains these 5 different types of love that answers the muchness question. The first is feeling so much love that those experiencing the love become one entity. When we read the Shema, it states that there is only one God, but we can also read that God is one, indicating that God is everything that we experience. I think of this version of love with God the most. When I sit down for Shabbat morning services at camp, where we're all in the woods, dressed all in white, harmonizing with each other, that oneness, that being together, the voices, the wind, the communal effervescence, there I experience the muchness of love for God. The second way she describes this muchness is a passionate obsession with God. This form of obsession is almost a debilitating form of love. Rambam writes, what is suitable love? to love God with an exceedingly great and very intense love until one's soul is knit with the love of God and one is constantly obsessed by it, as in a state of love sickness, in which the mind cannot be diverted from the beloved. The love is constantly obsessed by his love, lying down or rising up, eating or drinking. Well, we are indeed commanded to love God when we lie down and when we rise up, when we go on our way, etc. So, is that what God intended? For our love for God to be constant, what must we give up? Is this form of love actually attainable? I'm going to answer my own question here. There are absolute times in my life where I despise God because God feels unreachable. So could my frustration with God also be seen as a form of love? I think so. The third form of love is longing. This extreme want and need to be close to God is love. Hasidic teachings say that this extreme want and longing to be close to God opens up the gates of the human heart. To me, this can be frustrating, always wanting but never having. This makes me think that we're in a love triangle with God, where God loves something else and we have the biggest crush on God, but God doesn't feel the same way back. These love triangles are exhausting and also unsustainable. The fourth form Carpenter discusses is loyal obedience. She explains that there is always a choice to remain loyal to God. There can be distractions along the way, but we have the strength to remain committed to God and fulfill God's commandments. While I agree with this form of love because of the human autonomy mentioned, I still feel like there's this black or white, this dichotomy of either we follow God's commandments and in return there's this shared love, or we don't follow God's commandments and there's no love at all. And lastly, love as unselfishness. When we perform acts of service for others and treat them with dignity, there is God. Just like when we state to love your neighbor as yourself, or love the stranger because we were strangers in the land of Egypt, our love of God manifests as performing acts of service for others. This is the form of love I definitely agree with. Forms 2 through 4 of love seem too strict. If X, then Y. If you show love to or for God, if you blank. Whereas 1 and 5 feel more free-flowing, more open into interpretation. God is all around us. The love we have for God can be expressed as deep connection with one another and by showing that we care for those in our lives and in our environments. I think that we can understand this muchness type of love when we use it in tandem with the pyramid concept that the Ve'ahavta presents to us. The tippy top of the pyramid is the muchness. We find being one with another and performing acts of loving kindness in the Me'od section of loving God. Taking this idea of loving God into the current moment that we're in right now today, this past week, we observed Tisha B'Av, a holiday commemorating the destruction of the first and second temples and all other horrific tragedies that the Jewish people faced. Tonight, this Shabbat is known as Shabbat Nachamu, a Shabbat where we acknowledge writings from the Haftarot of the book of Isaiah, from where we seek comfort from after this destruction. Nachamu ami yomar Elohechem. Comfort, comfort my people, says God. Perhaps this is too a way to show love, to provide comfort to those experiencing extreme loss and devastation. It is also not without mentioning that this upcoming week is Tu B'Av, Jewish Valentine's Day, a day in the Hebrew calendar where it's ancient tradition to have matchmaking and festive dances. Love is felt through the air by way of communal gatherings and expressing love by hugging and supporting people around you. How interesting is it that these two holidays align themselves near each other? One about utter sadness and one about total love and joy. Echoing Psalm 118, Min hametzar karati ya, anani b'merchavya. From the narrowness, I call out to God, and God answers me with vastness. Love of God is the common theme here. when we feel or experience the divine in whatever ways we do that, there is hope that this love is reciprocal. In our times of narrowness, when we are struggling, we call out to God. In my experience, this is my community, and my community answers me with abundance. That is love. There is the ma'od, the muchness. I want to take a minute and invite you to look at my talit. It doesn't have I don't know if you can see it. It doesn't have the typical blessing for wrapping oneself in a talit. Is it upside down? Instead it reads, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha. You shall love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your muchness. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Ve'ahavta is my favorite prayer. It makes me think all about the different types of love that exist. Love from the heart, love from the soul, and love from the muchness. The kicker here is that each of these are different for all of us. Our own love for and from God is unique to each individual, which is what makes it so beautiful. Love has endless possibilities. This Shabbat, it is my hope for each of us not to define our love for God or of God, but to explore a new form of love for God. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.